Alright, so let's start with the boss fight, and then we'll get into the abilities and the skill tree at the end. Let's go.
Were you hoping to find Majasa, human? All you will find here is your death.
Fools! Fools!
Aid me! Nothing can stop me! Nothing!
Okay, so let's talk about the build. So for Runemaster, for me, I like the flexibility of being able to cast all of the spells. So it was important for me to have lightning, ice, and fire, so I'm not limited. I think that's what makes the class unique. So I really don't like the node where you cast the same spell every time. So, you know, it just, that to me, like, play a sorceress if that's what you want to do. You know, that's what's the point of that. And this mostly focuses on shields and wards. I mean, this is a hardcore, you know, solo self-found. And so, yeah, I mean, this is my first run in Lost Epoch, and I want to make sure I survive. So basically, our lightning is Lightning Blast. This is kind of our generator. It puts a buff on us. So, you know, you can chain, increase damage and critical strike chance, also chance to shock. And so when you cast this, we took also the overcharge, so double cast and quadruple cast. I'm not quite there yet, but that's coming. And then obviously, you know, again, focusing on ward. So those are kind of the nodes there. So that's the idea there. And when with a single target boss, I like to, you know, you can very quickly get these 3 up on your invocation, and then this just absolutely melts compared to some of the other abilities. So that's what I've been using for single target DPS. A lot of time bosses that I've fixed, at least so far, have been pretty in one location. You can kind of get them to stand on that. Going into a fight, I'll start with an ice, and then my mobility with my fire, and then another quick ice, so you can very quickly get your shield on. And if you see here, my ward is staying up, and so this is, and you can constantly keep this up. I mean, you can just, you know, ice, fire, ice. It's like super fast. Always have this big shield on. And another shield that we have on our disciplines here is flame ward. Now this is not on the hot bar, this is on the back bar, because I took the, you know, cast when stunned ability. And so this, in that boss fight, you know, I got stunned multiple times. I had no idea what was coming. I didn't, you know, I went into it pretty blind. I mean, I knew she did poison. And so, you know, I got stunned multiple times, and this saved my ass. I mean, this was huge. And so it's on the back bar, which frees up a slot down here. And currently I'm running focus just for, you know, if I can, you know, if I'm low on mana, I can dodge out, and then I can cast this for like 1 second, and in 1 second my mana gets almost like full. And so it also provides some shield, and, you know, so it's just a quick, like, kind of, you know, sustain. Now later on, when mana becomes no problem at all, you know, I'll probably swap this out for some other quick generator, maybe a I don't know, an ice spell that generates mana or something. I haven't quite, you know, looked at that yet, but I'm happy with this for now. So, you know, and then our big AoE clear ability is, you know, you start with your lightning, then you dive into a pack, then you ice blast, and then you invocate, and it does a huge AoE, and then, so it's like, you're basically doing 3 AoEs back to back to back. And that is from here, you cast the Elemental Nova after you cast your invocation. And this is just, I mean, you're flying around the map, you just smash everything, you know, so it's very good for that wave clear for mapping. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main skills and rotations. But again, I mean, you know, sometimes, like, if I feel like, you know, this boss or this monster is kind of like resistant to my lightning, or it's not really responding to the AoE, I'll come in, I'll hold this for a couple seconds, create a big AoE, and then I'll nuke it with a huge fire blast. Because you also have the shred on your fire, and again with the ward on your fire. So there's just a ton of flexibility, a ton of options, and you know, and again, if you want your ice, you can cast this on something that's going to be ice resistant, that has low ice resistance. So I just love the flexibility of it. There's a ton of defense built in. You can get it out super fast, and your ward, you know, your ward is always up. I mean, if you're playing smart, careful, your ward is always up. And when you dive into a pack using your flame rush, your mobility skill, you get your ward back. So you're just constantly diving around, you know, warding. That's what it's all about. Love it. It's been fun. Super fun to play. We'll see how far it gets me in the maps. Alright, for the passive tree, I plan to play around with this, but, you know, to get where I am right now, you know, basically focusing on ward. You know, one of my resistances early game, so took this node. Perhaps when this doesn't become a problem, I mean, the intelligence is nice. You know, maybe I switch that up, but, you know, basically kind of building into the reactive ward, warden, you know, just all the ward stuff here for this tree. And then I also put a couple points into preparation. So every 3 seconds, you know, you're doing 40% more damage. And so with our main spell rotation of doing the, you know, our shock blast to our mobility, flame rush, And then our Nova, like you can typically get that all out from start to finish, and then like that'll be like 3 seconds, and then very shortly after you can do your big invocation, which is your huge AoE nuke that wipes the screen. So if you kind of time those right, every 3 seconds you're doing a huge AoE screen wipe. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the thought here. I probably won't put more into this. I think I want to focus more on the defensive aspects if I go any further in this tree. And then on the Runemaster, same kind of thing, focusing on ward. And what's really, really important here um, is this never late. You're well, so whenever we do our traversal, right, we got our spell damage and critical strike, but then you take the next node and you get your ward gained on traversal. So every time we flame rush, so this right here is really important for our flame rush, and yeah, and then this cooldown recovery also for our flame rush. So I want my flame rush on as small of a cooldown as possible. And I think right now it's at 3 seconds. I'm hoping I can get that even lower because it's just a huge survivability tool. And then in this tree, now that I'm kind of getting into this later stuff, I want to kind of build the crit and the ward gained on crit, because then you'll be able to build the offense and the defense off of each other. And then that will also piggyback off of taking this node on the sorcerer tree for intelligence and increased spell critical strike chance. So that's kind of like my late game plan, kind of go into this crit ward build. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's super, super fun to play, very tanky, I feel. We'll see how far it takes me. But yeah, it's been real enjoyable. I love the flexibility of this class. I mean, it's you can kind of do whatever you want to do or need to do. So yeah, that's kind of it. Thanks.